like, why did you pick this up? Did you not learn your lesson? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel via Glow. If you are new here, my name is Gloria and I'm a full-time reseller on multiple different apps, and I resell clothes and shit. So in today's video, it's actually a continuation of last week's video, so I'll have that one linked down below if you guys want to check it out first, or you can just watch this one then go watch that one. It really doesn't matter the order. But I want to talk about some brands that I feel like they have fallen off. They used to do well, they've stopped, or they've never done well, and I'm just finally coming to terms that they are just a disappointment. But I want to talk about those brands, so if you might be interested, please stay tuned. All right, so the first brand is actually Adidas. This one is kind of hurtful because I love Adidas. It's on the level of Nike for me. Before I started hating Nike, let's be honest. But Adidas is a brand that just doesn't do well for me, no matter what it is. It can be men's, it can be women's, it can be priced at $10, it can be priced at $5. It just will not sell no matter what. And it's almost kind of like I can't even give it away. Nobody wants it. Take to a buy sell trade store, they don't want it. So it is a brand that I steer clear of unless it is a vintage item, and even then those sit for me a little bit, so it's kind of sad. The next one is a brand that I cannot stop picking up for the life of me. Every time I go to the bins, I have to pick it up. Like, I don't think I've ever left a piece behind, if I'm being completely honest with you. And the brand is called Columbia. It is so hard to not pick that brand up because in my mind, I'm gonna be honest with you, it's still a great brand. It's a brand that I enjoy wearing. It's a brand that I enjoy picking up for the most part. And it is a brand that used to perform so well for me, specifically their shorts, their nylon shorts. One summer, I think I sold like 6 or 7 pairs, and they all sold between $15 to $25. And they just were selling quickly each time. So it's like every time I find this brand, whether it be sweaters, pants, jackets, I pick it up and then it doesn't really perform that well. So then I get a little upset. So it's so hard. Like, I just hauled a dress, and I think I talked to you guys about it, but I just hauled a dress and it's just like, why did you pick this up? Did you not learn your lesson? The next one is Eddie Bauer. Oh my goodness. I've picked this brand up so much because I see it just as much as I see Columbia, and I pick it up because I'm like, okay, I want to test this brand out. Now, I've picked up a few pieces and it's just not giving what it needs to give. I've picked up ones that are like vintage 80s sweater. I picked up a vintage 91. That one is like Angora. The other one was wool. I picked up jackets. I picked up, you know, coats and such, and it just doesn't perform the way that I feel like I want it to perform. It is a brand that I pass up about 80% of the time now, because even if I find one with a special fabric or something great going on about it, it's still going to be a factor of, is this going to sit for longer than a month? Is this going to sit? Is this not going to, you know, get any likes? So that is something that I really have to drive home now when it comes to my business and the way that I source. Is this item gonna sit? And of course, we'll never really know 100%. The next one is North Face. Oh man, this brand hurts, mainly because I've always looked at North Face like it was on the level of Patagonia, and I feel like it has fallen off like big time. Nobody really cares about their sweaters and their jackets. I feel like it's lost its resale value. It's still very expensive, don't get me wrong, and I feel like certain pieces from the brand, like their puffer coats, will get you a pretty good return. But anything basic, just like their, you know, full zip sweaters, quarter zip sweaters, they're just not going to get you the price that you want. And I feel like a lot of the times that I found it at the bins, I've sold it for $20 and under. And it's not because I wanted to make a quick sale, it's because that's the price point that it sells for. Let me know down below if North Face does much better for you, because I don't really have that much luck with it. I think the only thing that I've noticed that does well is their like hiking pants, their track pants, and more so on the men's side. The women's take a very long time to sell, but the men's, they sell fairly quickly. Okay, this next one is one that at some point, I want to say maybe about 2018, 2019, I fell in love with. I even found myself buying, you know, new things from them when they would have their Black Friday deal, and I actually love the brand, and it is called Gymshark. Retail is actually not that expensive, so resale is definitely not going to be like a super high profit. However, I feel like the brand alone is like not necessarily sought after anymore. I feel like before on the secondhand market, it was sought after. People was willing to pay close to retail for it because that item is no longer in stock and they love it. But now you can't really give it away. So if I see it, I'm only gonna pick it up at the bins, and it has to be something good. It's a few pieces that I've passed up. This next one may be a brand that you've never heard of, but it's called 𝕬𝕑, and they just pretty much do beach shoes, you know, that California Billabong, you know, O'Neill vibe, where it's just kind of beachy. They make shoes for the beach essentially, and they're basically like Toms, but just a little bit better. I've picked up the men's shoes, I've picked up the women's shoes, and they sold fairly quickly for me. But I've noticed as of late, the ones that I do pick up at the bins, they've been sitting. They still get likes and everything, but nobody is willing to bite the bullet on it. And I also noticed that the retail is not that much, and before I could get close to what it's for retail, but now it's a no-go. So this is actually a brand that I don't pick up, and even though I find it at the bins for, you know, fairly cheap, I still wouldn't risk it because the items that I did purchase at the bins, they are still sitting and nobody is really paying attention to them. And I don't really like things to sit, if you guys didn't know. Like, I am a quick flipper, okay? All right, this brand is a brand that I would only pick up if it's vintage, but even if it is vintage, I would still have to vet it super thoroughly. And even if I find a new tags item, I leave it at the bins because it just does not do well. And the brand is called Tommy Hilfiger. I know back in the 90s, it was really popular with my culture, rap culture, R&B culture. Like, it was so popular. Tommy Jean. Now, you can literally hand it to somebody and say, you can have this for free, and they will tell you, I'm okay, just donate it. Because that's how the brand is now. Like, I remember finding a few dresses that were newer tags, and I was wondering, like, okay, let me check quick comms. Check comms, saw newer tags items selling for like $12. I was like, oh no, I'm not even gonna waste my time, because there ain't no telling how long that sat before it finally sold for $12. I just don't think that Tommy Hilfiger is a brand that people are literally searching for. They'll stumble upon it and be like, oh, that's cheap, maybe I'll get it. But it's not really a brand somebody is physically typing in to, you know, buy it. The two items that I have are both vintage pieces, and I remember receiving an offer on one of them for $10, and at the time I of course declined it because I had it listed at $25. It's a vintage men's button-down fleece, and it's kind of like a shacket. It's kind of, you know, heavy a little bit, and I felt disrespected. And then I had to realize, like, Tommy Hilfiger is just not popular. No matter what I think of it, nobody is looking at it in that way. So it's just a sad brand to see just kind of die off like that, you know? The next brand is actually a brand that I source so much at the bin, so that just lets me know a lot of people get rid of this brand, and I should know better. And the brand is called J Brand. I do believe that it is super high retail, and to be honest with you, I think I might end up pulling them eventually and sending them to the Real, because if I'm not mistaken, they accept that brand. Let me know down below if you send things to the Real, and do you think they would accept all of my J Brand? Because I have men's jeans, I have women's jeans, and I think I've sold a pair or two, and they've all been for under $25. And I don't know if me thinking that I'm supposed to get over $30 for it, but I noticed that it barely gets any attention each piece that I get. I might have 1 or 2 likes, but nobody really, you know, bites the bullet. And if they do, it's always for like 15-20 bucks. So it's just not a brand that I feel like I would search after anymore. It's on the list of I'm gonna pass, babe. Another denim brand is Joe's Jeans. This one is actually sad because at one point I was finding it a lot, just like J Brand. It's just a brand I'm assuming that a lot of people just kind of get rid of because it's newer brands out and nobody really cares for these ones anymore. So every time I find a pair of Joe's Jeans, because they retail for so much, I pick them up and I sit on them and I sit on them and I sit on them. And it's probably a brand that I need to try to sell off to a buy sell trade store, because I really don't want to store a lot of denim jeans, especially if it's from the same brand and it's multiple of them that are sitting. So I learned my lesson and I'ma stop. The next one is a brand that I feel like over the fall and winter time I was heavily sourcing it because it was coming in, it was going out, coming in and going out, and I was just like really excited about it because it was selling for over $30 damn near every time. The men's item, the women's item I would get between 20 to 30, and I noticed that it kind of just slowed down, like not completely, but it just slowed down. I'm not getting as much for it, and then now it's at a complete stop. The items that I do have are basics, and I think that's probably the main reason why they aren't selling. There's some of them are long sleeves, some of them are polo, some of them are vintage, and those are the ones that I try to search for. But I do remember somebody in my comments, I forget which video it was because I make so many, they talked about picking up the big pony one, and I don't necessarily know what that means, but I'm gonna have to look into it so I know which ones to look out for when I'm at the bins, because what I have listed now, it's been sitting for a little while. And I also want to disclaim this, because when I say sitting for a little while, I mean sitting for longer than 1 month. I like to get it in, get it out, like I keep telling y'all. So when something sits for longer than a month, that lets me know like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have picked it up, or the price is too high, or whatever the case is. So it gets relisted every 2 months and the price gets lower, and we'll, you know, go from there. So if anything that sits longer than 2 months, what's going on, sis? What are you doing? All right, this next one is Paige denim. I, at one point, used to pick these up at thrift stores and pay thrift store prices because I think I may have sold 2 or 3 pairs at a decent price point. Anyways, so yeah, I may have sold a few of these for a decent price point, and I really rode the wave with that. So every time I found it at the bins, or if I saw it at a regular thrift store that was maybe a larger size, I would pick it up. Just not even really checking comps, just assuming it's gonna sell like the other ones did. But girl, was I in for a rude awakening. So I have completely just stopped. I don't pick up Paige jeans anymore. I don't get excited when I see them. Most of the time they always have puckering. Honestly, it's one of those brands where you're gonna probably always see puckering right at the thigh, so it's almost like, why would I pick this up? All right, another brand is one that I just kind of recently tried out. I want to say maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And the brand is called 𝕬𝒑. It is an activewear brand. I've picked up their pants, I want to say a top and a sweater. I do remember getting one of them in a flip lot, and I remember the brand. And I believe it had a few likes during that time, and it eventually sold. So when I started to see it at the bins, I'm like, oh, let me, you know, test it out a little bit more. Y'all. It is like a $10 brand. So if I'm willing to price it at $10 and somebody take my $7 offer and $5.99 shipping, then yeah, it'll go. But it is a brand that I refuse actually to pick up anymore, no matter what the style of it is. It's just not a brand that I'm going to be looking out for. This next brand is called 𝕬𝒑. I had a lot of luck with this last summer and it just stopped. And what makes me so frustrated about this is that when I was at the bins, you already know, I started to see it a lot. So I started picking everything up because it had done so well for me over the summer. So I was just like, let me just get everything I see. And y'all, I cannot give it away. I don't know if I just need to drop the prices to like $10 and just hope for the best, but it was kind of on the level of like Judy Blue and Can, but it's not there anymore. It's pretty much lost its resale value, so I actually don't pick it up anymore. And I do see it quite a lot at the bins, but she's a no-go. Banana Republic is another one. This one really breaks my heart because I still kind of pick it up. Like I'll pick up their work trousers because I'll probably get about 15 to 25 bucks for them, and I'm okay with that, don't get me wrong. But as far as like their sweaters and stuff, I noticed that when I was picking those up over the wintertime, they would sit for a lot longer than I would like. So I'm just kind of like, okay, maybe this isn't a brand that I should pick up. I really don't even pick up their blazers. I think at one point I was picking up their blazers because you already know blazers are pretty much in, but I noticed the price point that I was getting for the blazers, and I was just like, nah, this isn't really worth it. So I actually stopped. Unless it's like a super nice piece, I don't pick it up. And I see Banana Republic, it's like, oh, never mind. I'll leave this here. Next one is Gap. I recently sold a dress from this brand. After I sourced it, I was wondering, like, Gloria, why did you pick this up? You have 2 pairs of denim jeans. You had a pair of men's denim jeans that sat forever, and then they finally sold. And now here you go picking up another item from this brand, and you know that it doesn't sell. Y'all, that dress sold full asking price for $30. Within like maybe 4 or 5 days of being listed. So that leads me to believe that I cannot pick up Gap denim, because Gap denim is not really something that people are looking for on the resale market, unless maybe it's men's, because the 4 pieces that I picked up from this brand, 2 have been women's denim jeans, 1 was the dress, and then 1 was a pair of men's denim pants, and it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm like, I'm not picking it up anymore. Even though their denim is really nice, it's pretty good quality, so I'm like, why is nobody looking for this? And I try to pick it up in larger sizes as well, but the girls ain't checking for it. So it's a brand that I'm really going to steer clear of, unless it's a dress, unless it's like a dress that is of a larger size and it has something going for it. Other than that, she's going to stay at the bins. And lastly, it's silver. Oh, this one broke my heart, because I think I found this one kind of like at the tail end of its hype, because when I found it, I noticed that it was selling quickly. Quick. I think I was having maybe like a month turnaround or less for the brand. So once I started seeing it at regular thrift stores, I was still picking it up. So if this was selling between $20 to $30, I was willing to pick it up at a regular thrift store, because I knew it would be a pretty quick flip. But I started to notice, like, wait, this isn't selling as quickly as it used to. I have all of these jeans from this brand and they're still here, and they get so many likes. And I know that low rise is in, but I think that is the main reason. Like, the girls is not picking it up because they're low rise. Mid rise they probably could work with, but low rise, the girls is like, I'm not about to have all of my stomach hanging out. But yeah, so I still have a few pair, and some of them were thrifted at a thrift store. Some of them, of course, were from the bins, but I want to say majority of them are from thrift stores. So I did not pay $1 for them. I paid like $7 to $9 for them, and at this point I do want to get rid of them. So maybe once it's time to relist them again, I'll lower the price to under $20. And although I love denim, and denim is my favorite category, I don't like to have too much of it, because I don't have a lot of space for denim, because I keep it in a tote. There's not a lot of space for it, so I can't really pick up too much. But yeah, y'all, that is pretty much all that I have for this video. Let me know down below if some of these brands are on your no-go list, because all of these are definitely on my no-go list, but I do have that little asterisk right beside it, like maybe you can pick it up sometimes, but not all the time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. ♪